Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Know-How is brought to you by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Know-How is brought to you by lynda.com, the online learning platform with over 3,000 on-demand video courses to help you strengthen your business, technology, and creative skills. For a free 10-day trial, visit lynda.com/knowhow. That's LYNDA.com/knowhow.
Today on Know-How, we're talking about electric motorcycles.
Your first print with XYZ's DaVinci Jr.
3DR's cool new quadcopter.
And your questions, our answers. Welcome to Know-How. It's the Twitch show where we build, bend, break, upgrade, and go out of frame. I'm Father Robert Ballas.
And I'm Brian Burnett.
And for the next hour or so, we're going to show you some of the projects that we've been geeking out to so you can take them home and geek out on your own.
That's right. And today's little banter segment was something that I was geeking out to this week when I found out that the fastest production motorcycle goes 218 miles per hour, but that's not the cool thing. I mean,
that's fast.
That's pretty fast,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's that it's electric. It's
we like geeking out over car stuff. We've done a lot of that in the past. But when I saw this in the doc, I was like, oh, cool. Let's talk about motorcycles. Yeah. It makes sense, though, right? I mean, even more than a car, that crazy 0 mile per hour torque that you get out of an electric motor is great for a bike because you are going to be speeding up and slowing down so much.
Right, right. And we were talking about how hypercars or supercars now are hybrids.
Right.
For motorcycles, having like a hybrid engine isn't like quite the same.
Heavy. It's a little too heavy.
Right. I mean, the motorcycle I'm talking about in particular is the Lightning LS218, and it is pretty cool.
So this is not like a track bike. This is something you can actually buy. This is a production bike.
This is is the fastest production bike that you can buy right now. And to give you like kind of a frame of mind, this year Yamaha released a 1000cc sport bike, 4 cylinders, called the R1. It makes 200 horsepower, but it makes 83 foot-pounds of torque, and that's a lot. Like, that's pretty dang fast. But the difference between this and the Lightning is that the Lightning makes about 200 horsepower, but it also it makes like 165 foot-pounds of torque.
Holy cow!
Right?
So it's basically double the torque.
It's basically double the torque.
Okay, wait a minute. See, this is the thing I've never really understood about bikes. With cars, especially if you've got an all-wheel drive, you've got 4 wheels to put the power to the ground. With bikes, it's the back wheel.
It's the back wheel.
There is no 2-wheel drive production bike that I know of.
Right.
So does that really help? Because you're just spinning in the tire at that point, aren't you?
Well, that's where if you have a large final drive, like the big final drive, then that way it stops the bike from basically turning the world in the opposite direction when you get on the power.
Well,
because
I could see you, like me, just cranking that thing, and then it just flips over on me because there's so much torque.
You would think, yeah, but because of the way that the final drive is and the way they've done the motor is that it'll slowly generate, well, not slowly, but it'll generate torque more and more and more and more as you go along. And then as you get up to like highway speed or something, you have instant torque on tap. Whatever you do to the throttle is what you get at the back wheel.
Right. So, now this is interesting because we have talked about this when we were talking about supercars, where like you look at the Mercedes hybrid supercar, where the electric drive not only provides a ton of torque at the low end, but it fills in the gap. So when the transmission is shifting, normally you would see a drop in power, right? Because you've got to switch to new gear. Well, it would smooth that out. The torque and the power comes from the electric motor so that you don't get a big dip.
Yeah.
I would think that sort of linear power band is even more important for a bike.
Oh, definitely. Because when you're riding, you want to be smooth. Like when you have the bike leaned over, you want to be smooth. And with the absence of a clutch, with the absence of all the inertial, I forget what it's called, all the movement with the combustion engine, all that creates force when you're trying to like lean the bike side to side and things like that. Without all that, it's just smooth. Like you can just focus on the throttle and stuff like that.
All right, now, but let's talk about the disadvantages here, because we're talking about an electric bike,
yes,
which means it's got batteries, which means it's got a limited time. It goes 20 miles. It takes 2 days to charge it. What are the stats here?
So things have progressed pretty quickly with the battery technology. They're still not quite there yet. You'll get, they claim, I mean, I'm more than willing to test it out myself. But
send us one before you buy. Come on. Yeah.
That it'll do 100 miles at 65 miles per hour. And if you have a DC fast charger, then you can charge it up in 30 minutes.
But that assumes that you're carrying the DC fast charger with you when you...
Which you won't be.
You won't be.
And like, from my experience, we did the that BYB review on the Zero DS, I think it was what it was called. And I think Tony didn't make it home.
Oh,
it couldn't do more than 65 miles on the freeway.
And they're heavy, right? Because that's a lot of batteries.
Batteries? Yes. This bike weighs 495 pounds, which is, for a sport bike, is kind of heavy. But the advantage is that with batteries, you can centralize the mass like a little bit lower and stuff. So it doesn't feel like it's that heavy.
Well, that's another strange thing, because I remember you told me about this, about the Zero bike, which is the centering of the mass is good, but it doesn't feel like any other bike you've ridden before. So it does take some time to get used to, because you're used to the mass being up, and you kind of have to lean it. It's all the way at the bottom where it should be.
Yeah, it's lower. It lowers the center of gravity, makes the bike feel way lighter than it actually is. And the strangest thing was not having a clutch or a transmission to use. It was just the throttle and the brake. Right. And I was watching, it was a Zero Motorcycles YouTube video where they're describing like the batteries and how like an electric engine works versus like a gas engine. And the perfect quote that I heard was that a gas engine is like a Rube Goldberg
Well, it really is.
machine.
I mean, when you think about it, the pistons, they're basically fighting each other. Right. That's how you get motion out of a rotary, of a gas engine, an ICE. Whereas an electric motor, and we know this because we're playing with quadcopters, you've got this sort of perfect balance generation of motion.
Naturally generates torque immediately, whereas like a gas engine, you're feeding the gas and you're making a mixture with the air, which goes to valves, which is fed by a cam system to like specially feed these pistons, which then generate torque. But you need to have a transmission and a clutch to kind of like, turn
that into usable power.
Turn that into usable power.
Quadruple D in the chat room is saying, walk this thing up a hill. It'll feel heavy. When it dies. Okay, 100 miles, not bad. Of course, probably knock 20% off the top of that, unless you're riding it super careful. So maybe an 80-mile range, which isn't bad. I mean, I could just about make it from my home to the studio and back before I need to charge it up. What I'd like to see is, if we start getting these charging stations for electric vehicles, so specifically electric cars, if they will then be useful on electric bikes.
On bikes, like a universal kind of charging system. Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the right direction to go. And that, battery technology, if the amount of money and focus was going into battery technology as it's going into like MotoGP racing, I have a feeling that electric bikes would way beyond surpass like any gas technology that's happening right now.
I think what we can say safely, both for bike and car, is there's going to be a lot of naysayers until you start to see these in competition and they start burning out their competition.
And I have to say, I was kind of in that camp until I rode one, because I was like, well, I've spent
it's a toy.
I spent a lot of time mastering how to shift. I like the noise, which is kind of childish. It's like, it sounds blah, 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 blah. But then you ride one. Yeah, exactly, like Jeremy. And then you ride one and you're like, this is amazing. I have instant power. It's clean. It's nice, and it's just so much fun to ride.
Well, there you have it, folks. Coming soon to Twit TV, we're going to have an all-electric motorcycle gang. Papa Laporte will be up front.
What should
I'll be Little Bear.
Should we have a nickname for that?
We'll have to come up with. Actually, we'll probably let the chat room come up with a nickname for our biker gang. Now, off of bikes, let's go ahead and go back to 3D printers. We've been playing with this a whole lot. We've had this for 6 weeks now.
Yeah.
We did a first look a while back. We did a full review on Before You Buy. But now we actually have to show you how printing works.
Yes.
So without further ado, Alex, press the magic button. The DaVinci Junior is one of the easiest to use entry-level 3D printers on the market.
but your printing experience can be made so much smoother with just a little training. After unpacking the DaVinci Junior and taking stock of the various parts, tools, and materials that are included in the box, the first step is to get the filament feeding system ready for use. XYZ includes a guide tube that will direct the filament from the feeder to the print head. Thread the tube through the slot at the top of the printer, press down on the gasket at the top of the head, and push the tube until it stops. Take the other end of the guide tube and repeat the process for securing the tube into the top of the feed mechanism. With the guide tube in place, it's time to power up and load the filament. Connect the DaVinci Junior to its power adapter and turn it on, allowing it to do a system check. Once you've arrived at the menu, take the filament out of its package and slip it onto the spool holder, making sure that the filament can be fed up to the feed assembly as the spool turns counterclockwise. Thread the filament into the feeder until you can get a few inches into the assembly, then navigate the menu to Load Spool and hit OK. The printer will heat up the extruder and automatically load the filament. The last step in setting up your printer is to prep the bed for use. The DaVinci Junior has a non-heated bed that moves forward and back. Combined with the head assembly that moves up and down as well as right and left, you get 3 axes of motion. But the bed needs to have a way to both hold the developing print as well as a way to release it once the print is done. XYZ includes 3 prints of reusable bed tape, essentially 6-inch squares of Scotch tape. You can peel the backing and attach these to the glass. However, I prefer to coat the bed with a glue stick. It works as well or better than tape, and it can be easily washed off if you have a particularly stubborn print. With the DaVinci Junior ready, it's time to get something to print. There are several places on the internet that offer free STL files. My 2 favorite are the XYZ site and the much bigger Thingiverse. You can search through their inventory to find something that interests you, then download the STL file to your computer. Now, you could directly load the STL file onto the included SD card and print, but I suggest using XYZ's software to turn the file into a native format and examine the print for potential issues before using up filament. In this example, we've downloaded and opened a model for the tail hinge on a tricopter. This print could work if you allowed it to print supports that would stabilize the horizontal pieces, but it's easier to rotate the pieces 270 degrees on the bed so that the printer can extrude them vertically. In this second example, we're printing an extension arm for a GoPro camera. The arm has 2 problems. First, it won't print on the printing bed as designed, and secondly, the lengthwise supports are all horizontal. Rotating the piece so that it's diagonal on the bed and so that its support members are vertical alleviates the problems. Once you're convinced that the pieces are set correctly, you can export the part onto XYZ's format. During the export process, you can change the resolution of the printer, the density of the prints, add supports for structures with large overhangs, and add a raft or base support. Printing at higher resolutions, accomplished by using shorter layers, improves the finished look of the part but will slow printing. Higher density can increase the strength of a part but will increase filament usage. Once you've selected your options, the software will slice the object and render a finished product. Pay attention to the object information screen after the slicing to make sure that you've used the settings you desire, and to check the estimated print time and filament usage. The last step is to copy the finished file onto an SD card, load it into the printer, choose the print from the DaVinci Junior menu, and watch your print form before your eyes.
Now, we do have to note a few things. First, that was all real time. That was not time lapse.
Yeah,
that's actually how
and
fast.
the music was coming from out in.
Right.
Yeah, it's also a boombox.
This is a boombox.
Yeah.
I didn't add any. There's no editing done.
No wonder this thing's so cool.
It is rather slow, but all 3D printers are. I mean, compared to that. The other thing about this is what you put down on the bed is actually very important, because there is very few things that are more frustrating in the 3D printing world than printing something and then not being able to get it off the bed.
Trying to scrape it off the paint.
They actually include this. So it's like a paint scraper.
Oh.
But unless you've got some sort of material between the bed and the print, this won't work.
Yeah.
Which is why I actually like the glue. I like glue more than I like the tape.
Yeah, so they give you a supply of the tape pads, but then do you have to buy more through them or something?
Yeah,
or?
well, I mean, it's basically Scotch tape.
Yeah,
so, people have been using that blue painter's tape.
Oh,
that works
gaffer's
just
tape?
as fine. Yeah. But the thing I like about a nice layer of glue is if you've got one that's like, every once in a while I'll print something that's really delicate and I don't really want to chisel it off because I'm afraid I'm going to crack it. I can take the entire tray off. That glass plane comes off. Just put it in warm water. The glue will dissolve and the print comes right off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so get yourself a glue stick when you buy this.
Glue stick. Oh, let me get that out of your face. See, the glue stick is good. And the other thing I like about this printer is it takes away a lot of the variables that tripped up folk in the first generation.
Yeah, the thing that we had a 3D printer in studio for a while, and the thing that stopped us from using it was that it was really hard to calibrate, and when it was, calibrated, it's still, like, the head would get clogged and you have to restart.
Which is why people have pointed out the fact that with the release of the DaVinci Junior, XYZ's DaVinci 1.0 has actually come down to the same price. You can buy that for $349 online now.
And the big difference with that one is that you can do ABS with it,
You can also do ABS, which is nice. I like that, but this is still user-friendlier. So if this is your first printer, this is a nice experience to have because the bed will auto-level. I haven't had any calibration issues. I haven't had this thing jam once. And I know Brian Chi, who's one of my co-hosts on This Week in Enterprise Tech, he's been playing with a lot of 3D printers, and he jams almost every time he prints.
Yeah. Well, I think, maybe that's why they went with this iMac design, is because they wanted to present it as the, easy to use, the 3D printer for everyone.
Nothing wrong with that. Now, in the future, we're going to be stepping this up. So what we've done so far is we've shown you a basic description of what the DaVinci Junior is. We've shown you how to do your first print. So if you follow those instructions, you will get from downloading to printing entirely. That's all you need. It's really that simple. The next couple of steps are going to take a bit more time. In a few weeks, you're going to see us start to take designs and modify them, because there will always be that print that you do that you say, oh, if only the mounting holes were over here.
Right. I want to adjust this little, make this a little bit more angular here.
And then the final step, of course, is just designing your own. Not downloading something, but saying, hey, you know what? I need a part for this, and it needs to look like this. And we're going to show you some different solutions. There's some great software out there, but unfortunately, a lot of it is crazy expensive.
Oh, really?
The best stuff is crazy expensive. So we're going to find you some inexpensive or free versions of the software.
Can you use Google SketchUp or something like that?
Yeah, you can. I mean,
that was the last extrusion software that I played with, other than AutoCAD, which I mean, back in the day, me and Alex made 3D.
We made benches.
Yeah, we made benches.
Actually,
we made
folks,
a bench.
we should mention this. If you walk around Petaluma right now, you will find benches designed by our very own Alex Gumpel and Brian Burnett.
Drawn, not designed.
Drawn. I'm sorry, drawn.
We copied them very well, though.
We made the working drawings, not designed the bench.
We were children project. We weren't being paid for this.
Slave labor. They took your ideas and they printed them and they said, no, we don't have to give you.
But they're still, those benches are all over Petaluma. So
if you ever visit, you can sit on their work.
But be clear, the metal shop actually made the benches.
Well, yeah, but
they like taking all the credit.
What is it on Apple products? It's made in Cupertino.
Right.
It's designed by Alex and Brian, made by Metal Shop.
Imagined by Brian and Alex.
Exactly.
How about that?
So in the end, I'm just excited to play with AutoCAD again. Dust off the old skills.
Now, before we jump into our next segment, I did want to share two things that happened during the playing of that pre-record. Every once in a while, the chat room absolutely cracks us up. We were trying to find names for the twitkh TV biker gang, and Dar Bronco, who is from Minnesota, from a city by the name of Winona, said that he used to have a bike gang that they called the Winona Riders, which very good.
That made us chuckle. The other one was,
winner.
Yeah, the winner. The Spleen Savers.
That's from
the Spleen Scrapers?
The Spleen Scrapers.
Scrapers, that's
the
what it
Spleen
was.
Scrapers. That was from Quixton in UK. Folks, you made us laugh. Thank you so very much.
That's why we love you guys.
We love you. Now, we are going to be talking a little bit about 3D robotics. They've been making some waves.
This is the direction I want to see quadcopters going. Like the stuff that you showed me.
It's sexy. But before we get there, let's thank the sponsor for this episode of Know How. Brian, let me ask you something. Do you have a knowledge hole?
I have far more than I would like to admit, yes.
We all have knowledge holes, and that's that part of the brain that needs to be fed, right? It needs to be filled up with facts and information and skills.
Well, the more I'm thinking about doing 3D modeling for this this printer, I'm thinking I should probably brush up on my AutoCAD, and I'm taking a C++ class, and I need to learn some more about that, but I need somewhere where I can do all that.
Absolutely. Now, we love the internet, and you can go on the internet, you can find tutorials, you can find videos, you can find people who are interested in the same things in which you're interested, and most of that information is great, but every once in a while you want something that's curated, something that's indexed, something that just gives you the information you need in the format you need it.
Or a 10 seconds backwards button, because every time I miss something, I'm like, oh, no, back 10 seconds. Okay, good.
Which, of course, is why we love lynda.com. Now, lynda.com is the place on the internet to fill that knowledge hole. If you want a new skill, if you want to figure out some software that you need to learn, if you want to figure out how you do 3D printing, well, lynda.com is your one-stop shop. Recently, I've been really getting into iOS programming fundamentals with Todd Perkins. By the way, he is a guest on Coding 101. You saw him last week, and actually he's going to be doing a future module for us for people who want to program, but yet don't really want to be programmers. That's his specialty, a self-taught programmer, which is why he signed up with lynda.com. Now, lynda.com is for problem solvers. It's for the curious, for people who want to make things happen. Maybe you do want to create an app. Maybe you want to build a responsive website and master Excel or sharpen your coding skills. Well, lynda.com has everything you need to feed your curious mind. If you're ready to start taking better photos, you need to check out their lynda.com's Foundation of Photography and Photography 101 series, which has tutorials covering composition, exposure, and all the basics. They also have more advanced tutorials on shooting portraits, landscapes, street photography, travel, time-lapse photos. There's really something for all experience levels, which is why I love their lessons like this. This is programming. I mean, hell, I'm a programmer. Now, with a lynda.com membership, you can watch and learn from top experts who are passionate about teaching. You can stream thousands of video courses on demand, and, this is important, you can learn on your own schedule. You get to learn on your own pace, and since they've got transcripts, you can jump straight to the part of the video that deals with the question that you have. No more scanning through an hour or more of vid just to find that one random fact that you miss. You can take notes as you go and refer to them later. You can download tutorials and watch them on the go, including access on your Android or iOS device. You can create and save playlists of courses that you want to watch. In other words, queue up your knowledge to customize your learning path or share with friends, colleagues, and team members. Folks, you gotta try lynda.com, and they make it easy with a free membership. Your lynda.com membership gives you unlimited access to training on hundreds of topics, all for one flat rate. Now, whether you're looking to become an expert or you're passionate about a hobby or you just want to learn something new, I want you to visit lynda.com/knowhow and sign up for your free 10-day trial. That's lynda.com/knowhow. And we thank Lynda for their support of Know How. Shall we drone?
Oh, yes.
Now, I was recently at NAB, and I had a chance to speak with the Chief Revenue Officer of 3D Robotics, where they released their brand new product. It's a follow-up to the Iris, which made a big splash because it had a lot of automated features. Well, the Iris was good. The Solo is so much better. We're here at the 3DR booth at NAB 2015, and I'm standing next to Colin Gwen, who's the Chief Revenue Officer of the company. He wants to show us some of the finer points of their new Solo. Colin, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on today.
Now, 3DR has been making quite a bit of buzz. Your products have been released out in the open. People have been loving them, the design, the functionality.
And now you've got the Solo, which, well, I got to say, it's more of it's like a Lego platform. It's something that people can just bolt on what they want.
Yeah, so, I think it's a really nice blend, a combination between, the roots of 3DR, which is all about open source, embracing customer choice. Obviously our CEO and founder, Chris Anderson, wrote The Long Tail, which is all about, customized products for different people. And so that was kind of the history of 3DR. But then we also wanted to make something that was just like ready to go right out of the box. So I think what we've done with Solo is really kind of stricken a nice balance there between this thing pops out of the box, you throw your GoPro in, you have live HD video, you're ready to go. Or over time, we're enabling third-party companies to make all kinds of different accessories, or people just to make their own little 3D printed accessories that can just go right into the accessory bay. So we give them a nice big plug that includes everything from CAN bus to Mavlink, I2C, power, access to the onboard computer, and then we have Drone Kit, so they can go in and make whatever they want for their systems.
That's one of the things that I really like about the Solo, the fact that it is out of the box, ready to go, but you can turn everything off. You can make this a full manual craft. You can use 3D printed parts. You can make this a delivery platform. Essentially, it's designed for the maker. Now, some of the more automated features that I really love is you've got a selfie stick. Tell me about the selfie, the circle, the line.
The concept for Solo was, how can we make something that just fits in a backpack that you can literally go out and just capture shots? But not just stable footage with one axis of movement, full 5-axis cinematic shots that used to take 2 operators years of practice, right? Solo's the first copter that has a built-in 1 gigahertz processor Linux computer inside of it. So there's a flight controller, which is a Pixhawk 2 flight controller, yet to be released. Solo will be the first vehicle that it comes in. Really high-end flight controller with dual IMUs and dual gyros and dual barrows and really great autopilot. But we don't rely on the autopilot to do any of the logic. Just stay in the air, maintain GPS position, and take commands from the onboard computer. So now that we have this onboard Linux computer and an onboard Linux computer in the controller, so this is all driven by a 1 gigahertz processor Linux computer. People want to fly their GoPros. So now with Solo, we worked really closely with GoPro. Now there's a firmware update coming out for GoPro that allows our gimbal to be able to fully control it. Start video, stop video, take photos, change frame rates, change field of view, right? And now we can actually have our computer do that automatically. So step 1, easy experience with GoPro. Immediate live HD video right to iOS or Android, or right out of the HDMI port in the controller to goggles, field monitors, jumbotrons, whatever you want. The next step is, how do you solve for getting these amazing dynamic shots even though it's your first day to ever fly? I can give a Phantom transmitter or any little small, copter that uses GPS flight to really almost anyone in an open area, and they can fly it around because it uses GPS. But the moment I say, now go wrap around that tree perfectly and get a really compelling shot, or start here and boom up and rotate and twist and tilt all at the same time and get an amazing shot, that's a whole nother ball of wax, right? Solo's kind of really secret sauce is what we call smart shots. So it's just about getting the kinds of shots that you want. So you want to get a really amazing dynamic, establishing shot, fly to the location, doesn't matter how you get there, rotate, pan, tilt. Okay, that's exactly my starting frame. I hit one button, cable cam. It says, great, now move to your next point. I go up, over, rotate, find exactly where I want my parallax to be on my ending frame. Okay, great, that's my ending frame. One more button. Now I just hit play. And the computers do all the work for you. The computer drives the gimbal. The computer drives the copter. Everything it logarithmically starts the shot. It logarithmically comes out of the shot. So it's not an abrupt start or end to the shot. Everything happens in perfect harmony. Or you can turn off view lock and you can just have Solo. You can manually fly Solo up and down the cable. And even if I go full speed, it just eases to a stop at the end of the cable, right?
Now, that's great. It sounds wonderful, but of course our audience is actually going to want to see it in action. Could you fly this around a little bit first to see exactly how easy is this?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get it off the ground here. I'm going to press and hold fly, right? Comes up off the ground. Now, one of the cool things about Solo is the accessory story, right? So we have an accessory bay on the bottom where we're doing first-party accessories. There's other companies doing third-party accessories. And so this one actually has one of the early prototypes of our optical flow and LiDAR sensor. So I can sit here and talk to you, and the copter looks like it has a perfect GPS signal because it's holding its position just right. And even if I walk over here and push it, you'll see how it comes back to position. So it's coming back to position as if it has GPS because that just has the optical flow LiDAR sensor on it, which will just be a little tap, add-on. Now, unfortunately, in here, I can't show you cable cam and orbit and selfie, all those really cool smart shots, because you need to be out in the open. You need to have GPS reception because it's basically doing a really advanced, on-the-fly setup mission, right? But what I can show you is that, we can fly it around, show you just kind of how smooth and easy it flies. And, one of the cool things about Solo is that you can actually adjust the way it flies in real time right inside the app. So I'll show you this. Right in here, I can go to Settings, Solo, Performance, and I can literally change the speed and the agility, hit apply, and now I've just changed the way the copter flies. So if you want it to be flying really slow and easy, and then all of a sudden there's going to be a live action shot, go in here, juice up your agility and your max speed, the thing will fly 55 miles an hour. So, yeah, you can change the colors of your LED lights. You can, you can go in here, change all your GoPro settings. So I can swipe out here at any time, get a little third view, satellite view, tap it, a full satellite view comes in. Of course, I don't have satellite right now, but this has a full satellite view. You see where Solo is. You see where you're standing. You get your little live picture-in-picture here. We're actually controlling the recording on the GoPro right here. So, it's just an easy experience. I can see all my critical flight information. I can change from GPS flight to selfie or cable cam or orbit or follow me right there. I can assign any of those things to these two assignable buttons. So if I know that I want to get a quick orbit shot, I can put B set to orbit. Then if I want to get a nice wrapping shot around a lighthouse or something like that, I fly up, I target it just right here in my live feed, I press B, and then I hit play. And it just starts perfectly wrapping around that lighthouse. And when I hit play, it's going to automatically start recording on the GoPro. When I hit stop, it's going to automatically stop recording on the GoPro. So there you go. You come down, next shot.
Colin, this is absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm going to have to promise our viewers that at some point we're going to be able to do this on our product review show because this is a next level multi-rotor craft. Could you please tell the folks where they can find more information if they want to go online and find out about 3DR?
Absolutely, 3dr.com. So 3dr.com, number 3. And, there's videos about the product. There's a bunch of information, where you can order them, where you can pre-order them. They'll be on the shelves of Best Buy at the end of May. We've got Sports Chalet, Best Buy, REI, Sammy's Camera, B&H, Adorama, Precision. I've been having a blast with mine over the last few months.
That's Colin Gwen from 3DR. And if you want to get into advanced multi-rotor flight, maybe it's time for you to go solo.
During that video, there were people in the chat room who were like, oh, it's fun for everyone except the person who's flying it. But that's what I like about it. I was playing with it after the cameras were off. You could turn off all the automatic smarts, and it just becomes a quadcopter.
That part where it's flying and you can adjust the speed and the agility is
the way that they built it is it's a Pixhawk controller, which is a very nice controller. But for most quadcopters, it stops with the controller. All the smarts are built into the controller.
Right.
It actually has a 1 gigahertz Linux computer. It's like a Raspberry Pi 2 that lets you program it, and then that's what tells the controller what to do, which is why it has all those advanced features.
The whole time I was watching that, I was just like, shut up and take my money. Take my money.
Why is nothing coming out of the screen?
Right.
Take it.
The whole, the LiDAR system, that's the game changer.
That's the thing that we've been missing because before this, remember, anytime someone said, well, why can't I program my quad to go here, here, here? My thing is, Well, what happens if the environment changes?
Yeah.
Something gets in the way. It's going to just dumbly go straight into it. We've seen dozens of videos of Phantoms doing that, right?
The go home system, where there's like a building in the way, or in some cases a canyon, you know,
a person,
rock,
right?
or a person. Yeah.
And all it knows is I need to get to that spot. So it just, maybe it raises in altitude a little bit, and then it goes back to that spot. If there's something in the way, it's just going to run into it. With this LiDAR system, the craft actually has onboard smarts. It can say, hey, I can't fly through that.
Yeah.
I got to find another way. Either I keep going up or I go a little bit to the side. It also means I can bring it into a venue with things that really can't be hit, like people, and it will stay away from them on its own. That's a game changer.
Yeah, and the fact that he was able to push it and it would come back to that location. Cool. There's no GPS in that area.
Precisely, and actually that was a big, because there were a lot of quadcopters, a lot of multi-rotors, a lot of drones at NAB. It is the story of NAB.
I know. I kind of wish I had been able to go.
You really should have. Alex was there.
I know Alex was there. But somebody had to hold down the fort.
You know, inside that metal shed that is the convention center, you get no GPS signal. So they were all having to fly manually, and some of those craft really don't like that.
Right.
They'll start to freak out because maybe they get a glimpse of a GPS signal and suddenly they start flying off in one direction.
Yeah.
This didn't do that. You just said, no, you've got no GPS signal. It's only onboard sensors.
See, like now I'm thinking in the next couple of years, as quads get more and more advanced, we're going to be looking back and like, how did we ever fly these dumb quads that didn't know how to avoid things? Or the battery starts dying, and you know all those videos over water where the drone's going into.
And then someone's rushing out. No, come! I'll save you.
Like,
drone.
remember when our drones would just go down into the water? Now they pick a landing spot and like, oh, my battery's about to die. I'm gonna land over here. You can come get me.
Now there will always be a place for me for home-built quads and for the multi-rotors that have not many smarts because they're fun to fly. But that's not what the Solo was designed for.
No.
Remember, it was NAB. It was the National Association of Broadcasters. So they're building this thing for people who want a camera that just happens to be in the sky.
Yes, I can definitely see. I have a ton of ideas for myself to use this, but I'm hoping that someday this will be used at like sports events, at like conventions.
That's a feature called the Wire. So on that little on your pad, which by the way has Google Maps when you have connectivity, you set the parameters and it will fly a wire just back and forth across the sideline and give you control of the camera. So you focus the camera as it's going back and forth. So this replaces that cable cam that goes over. They also have the orbit mode. I love this part where you like circle yourself and it will just do 360s around you to keep the camera pointed at you.
That is so cool. Because my idea is I want to ride my motorcycle and have it like follow me out over my dirt bike, and have it follow me around.
Your derp bike?
My dirt bike.
Derp?
Derp? Not my dirt bike. You know what? Forget it, Padre. Forget it.
All right, now let's go ahead and get away from quads for at least a little while and go into your questions, our answers. We had a question here from Scotty Stock.
Scotty Stock?
I'm not sure why he had problems with that name.
Scotty Stock.
Brian, what does he want?
He wanted editing software for free. Hey, know-it-alls, my wife wants a photo editor, preferably free to edit some pics. Suggestions?
We had a lot of really good suggestions. Now, I will say that T. Nohans, who is he's a member of our community, he's a very good guy. He suggested that you get Adobe Creative Suite 2 because you can actually download it, and Adobe has turned off the authentication server because it's such an old version.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. I would say this. It's actually a decent software, but if you wanted to be completely legal, that's not legal.
Okay.
Because just because they turned off the authentication server doesn't mean that it's now free. It just means if you have it and you download it,
it's not checking.
It's not checking. I don't know if you care about that. It's a thing for me, but it's actually Photoshop in CS2 is still pretty darn good. Photoshop is basically the same for
a few years. Yeah, we have the Creative Cloud Suite here, and my two favorite photo editing programs, Photoshop and Lightroom.
All right.
Yeah. But if you were looking for something free, we have a couple suggestions.
If you want something that's free and completely 100% legal, the one that I would bring up first, and I have been using this for a while, even though I have Photoshop, I'm literate with both of them. It's called the GIMP. It's what is it? The GNU Image Manipulation Project.
Yep.
Yeah, or program. One of those things. It's the GIMP. I only know it as the GIMP.
GIMP, yeah, that's all I call it. I know the icon, the little logo.
It's 100% free. It's for Windows, for Mac, for Linux.
It's the open source.
It's open source, and it is absolutely fantastic. This, especially if you have a wife who just wants a decent photo editor, yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. You should get it.
And it'll handle a lot of formats.
It handles most every format. It's got most everything that you're going to want. Go ahead and go to my screen, Alex. Let me show you what the GIMP looks like. This is so this is just a photo that I was playing with. Alex tweeted out something from the late night show, and I actually used the GIMP to insert little twit screens into all of the different corners of this photo. This is something that you could do with Photoshop very easily. It takes a little bit of doing if you're used to Photoshop to figure out the hotkeys for the GIMP. But it's a fantastic program. And the nice thing about it is you can download it completely free. I think it's about 80 megabytes. It's really, really small. So it's super lightweight. And the results are pretty damn good. I mean, that's unless you're really focusing on details, it would be difficult to find out the seams where I messed up so that's not actually the photo it is.
No, I think you did a really good job on that one. Honestly, you did such a good job that the first time I looked at it, I didn't even notice.
That's the point. You're not supposed to notice it. Yeah. So no matter if you're using Windows, Mac, Linux, GIMP would be my first stop. But it's not the only one that's out there.
No, the other free one, and this happens to be mobile, is Snapseed. They just did a really big update to it, owned by Google. And you said you thought there was a desktop version? I think there's only the mobile edition of it.
Fine.
Is the only one I played with.
that way.
So if you're taking a lot of pictures with your phone, I mean iPhones and a lot of the new Samsung phones have great cameras, so you might be taking a lot of a lot of photos that way. But I've really fallen in love with this photo app. I've played with a lot of different photo apps on mobile devices, and one of my favorite, I take pictures with my DSLR and stuff, and I like to use Lightroom. And this has a lot of the things that I would typically do in Lightroom. So let me find a cool coastal picture with my motorcycle. And it gives you a little histogram here. And, for most of the photos that I take, all I want to do is crop it, maybe adjust some of the brightness, the contrast, and add like a vignette or something like that. And like the interface on Snapseed is really intuitive. They've done a good job with making things simple and having like material design and stuff. So that you can go into tune images and you can slide your finger side to side and see like, oh, I want to, bump up the brightness a little bit or darken it, check it. It has a lot of automated features too that if you want to use that, but it's like, okay, just crop it. And if you're doing all this on mobile too, it's a lot easier to share on Facebook and stuff. But you could also like, if you have load all your photos into the Dropbox, you could access your photos that way too. So I like it just because, it gives me all those features that I do in Lightroom without having to use my desktop. And it's really, they have everything that I want. Like,
well, this is the thing. I mean, the best tool for you is the one that you're going to use. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's how it works. Some people are going to need something a bit more advanced. They're going to want to do some serious image manipulation, and that's when you use the GIMP. But as you said, if all you're looking to do is to crop some photos, maybe adjust the brightness a little bit, this would be perfect because this is probably the device that you're taking the pictures on in the first place.
Yeah. So, as cameras get better on phones and stuff, I think apps like this are going to be more important.
Samsung, the Galaxy S6.
The S6 is an
best
amazing camera.
According to Leo Laporte, best camera currently in the mobile market. Yeah. That includes the iPhone. It's sexy.
If you're using a DSLR but you don't want to like move it over to your mobile stuff, use GIMP. And if you're taking all your photos on your phone, use Snapseed. They're both free.
Yeah, both free, and we're going to make sure that there are the links for both of those in the show notes. So if you have a need, in fact, they're both free, so download them both.
And Web5932 makes a good point. Pixlr is another program that I use. It's also easy to use, but I use it more.
A lot of people like
Picasa is good. Yeah. I use Pixlr for not collage, I guess a collage where you like break out a bunch of photos and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff out there.
There's a lot of tools that are available for you. So what I would say is if you really don't want to pay, there's a lot of options.
There's options.
Don't worry about it.
You're good.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to another piece of feedback. This is from Eddie Foy. He's, again, a longtime member of the community, contributes a lot. What does he want, Brian?
He is asking about BECs, holding batteries, CCW motors, and balance charging. He says he's building a hex and a hex?
A hex.
What's a hex?
A hexcopter.
Okay, he's building a hex, and he needs to know how to hook his ESCs with his BECs and his flight controller so it doesn't blow up.
All right, let's stop at that one because he's got a multi-part question. Let's start with this one because this is a good one to answer. I get this a lot. Now, if you are using a KK, so if you've been building either the 250 or the Alien X that we did on Know How, you are using a KK if you followed our parts list. You don't have to worry about that because a KK will only take power from the first channel. Now remember, the BEC is a circuit that's included inside of the electronic speed controller that provides 5 or 6 volts to the flight controller. Okay. Right. So it takes the power it needs to power up the motors, and it also pushes back a tiny bit of power to power up the flight controller and the receiver. Okay. Okay. Now, the thing is, if you have a flight controller that will accept power over all channels, you don't want 4 BECs giving it power at the same time because it's probably going to cook it. That's a bad thing. Okay. There's a really easy way to check. The first thing you want to do is take all your electronic speed control. Actually, let's put it down here so you can see it a little bit better. Take all of your ESC leads out, and then just put it in the first channel, the second channel, the third channel, etc. Go all the way down the line. If it powers up on any of the channels except for one, then you do have a problem because it means that it will accept power from multiple BECs. You don't want that.
So what do you do?
If it doesn't, then you're fine. Right. Right. It's just going to take it from that first channel, and you're done. If it is taking power, what you want to do is, you see that red wire? That's supplying the power. So if I snip that red wire, cut the red wire. If you cut the red wire on all but one, then it will only get power from one BEC. Okay. Okay. Just don't touch the black or the white because that's ground and signal. Right. You need signal because that's what tells the ESC to do. Okay. So yeah, it's actually quite simple. That's how you deal with multiple BECs on a single craft. Now Eddie Foy continues, Brian.
Also, how are you guys strapping your batteries? And since I'm lazy and confused on this one, a CCW looking down on the prop motor should have the left-hand thread.
This is a very good question, and actually it's good that we address this. Personally, for the craft that we build, we like a little piece of Velcro, and then we also like a little piece of Velcro on the. Let's see if I can get the shot.
Kind of. Okay, I mean, it's black. It's hard to see.
Black. So inside here, there's a little piece of Velcro, and on every battery that we use, there's a Velcro tab. Right. So we put it down on that tab, and then we strap it tight with this piece of Velcro. Yep. Reason for this is simple. The battery weighs a lot.
Battery weighs a lot. You're going to be removing it and putting it on the frame a lot, and you want to be able to move it around for balancing.
You want to be able to move it around for balance, and you want it to stay there, because what you don't want is you don't want to be in the middle of a maneuver and suddenly you go from perfectly balanced to tail heavy because it shifted back, and now it's just not going to fly right.
Yep. I've actually, on my Cyma, I took off the little door and the battery slipped out and it was like hanging.
Going, That's the worst, because now you've got weight on a pendulum and it will never correct. Yeah, it will never recover.
That's a disaster waiting to happen.
Exactly. So yeah, more strapping is good. Use up the weight to strap, because that actually is very important.
And his final question comes...
Wait. So it's also got left-handed thread here.
Oh,
yeah,
fun.
So, I know, right? He's
you and your left-handed threads.
This is a good thing. Now, people have wondered about this because of the 250 that we built. All the threads were the same. They all turned the same way. Right. Right. But the Alien X that we built, if you actually, here, Alex, zoom in on that. That one's black. That one's red. So they have counter threads.
To account for the spinning
exactly.
of the prop.
And the reason why they have counter threads is because you want the motion of the motor to actually tighten the props. On those small props, it didn't matter. Right. On the larger props,
it's generating a lot of thrust.
It's generating a lot of thrust, and the actual weight of the prop, if it's threaded wrong, can unscrew it from the motor, which
yeah, that would be a disaster.
It's a bad thing. So the easiest way to tell is this: we know that for this motor, we want this to go clockwise, we want this to go counterclockwise, et cetera, et cetera. We've done this a dozen times on the show and in the different tutorials that we've done. The rule of thumb is you want the motor, when it turns in the way it's supposed to be turning, it should tighten the prop. Right. So if you've got like this, on this Blackbird, these are self-tightening props. you would actually take these off, put it on the motor, turn the motor the right way. If it starts to screw in on the thread, it means that's the right prop for it.
Okay.
In fact, if you've got this, you can't screw it in the wrong way.
It won't go
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Unless you really force it, and then at that point it's like, come on.
And then you've got problems. You've got issues.
Right.
You've got some anger issues. You should probably go talk to somebody.
Never fly your quad angry.
But that's important because if you put it the wrong way, then it means that when you when you goose the throttle on your quad, you could make the prop spin off.
Yeah, that happened to me. I mean, I didn't have the opposite, screw threads on there, but what had happened was I put it on wrong. I didn't tighten it enough, and it was flying back to me, and I thought it hit like a clothesline or something because it just dropped straight out of the air.
Quads are quads. They won't fly with 3.
No.
All right, he's got one more part of the question.
All right, final question. And battery charging. Can I balance charge too low a rate? Charging time isn't an issue, and he'd rather have longer flights and overall life with his batteries.
The answer is no.
No, you can charge low is fine.
As low as you want. I mean, I tend to do 1C.
Yeah.
And so 1C means take the amperage, multiply it by 1.
Okay.
So if it's a 2.2 milliamp hour, or sorry, 2.2 amp hour battery, so 2200 milliamp hour battery, you take 2.2, multiply it by 1, I can charge it at 2.2 amps.
And you won't have any battery degradation or anything?
The rule of thumb is the faster you charge it, the more it's going to damage the chemistry. Because remember what charging is. Charging is forcing electrons into the chemistry. Right. You have to force it past the insulation so that it actually makes it into the chemistry. If you try to do that fast, it actually destabilizes the chemistry.
Right, and that's when you start getting like puffy batteries.
You get puffy batteries, and you also get batteries that just don't last as long.
Yeah.
Like, for example, on the packs that I've been using, the standard 2200 milliamp hour 4S batteries, if I charge at 1C, I'm probably going to get, what, 500 charges out of that thing?
That's a lot.
If I charge it at 4C, I'm probably down to under 100.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty significant then.
It's a significant dip, and I just have a lot of batteries, so I don't need to fast charge them.
Right. Just play with get a good set of them, charge them overnight, and then you've got 40 minutes of flight usually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Relax.
Cool.
Just chill. Just chill.
Just chill.
Chill.
Slow charge.
You must
slow
chill.
charge.
Yeah. Now, folks, I know that this was a lot of information, everything from the printing tutorial to a wonderful little interview that we had with 3DR to a couple of your questions, and we want to make sure that you've got an easy place to go when you want to take a look. And Brian, where would that be? That
would be twit.tv/KH, and that's where our show notes live. What?
No, they do.
Oh, okay, yeah. They can also subscribe, follow past episodes, and that's where if you
just hang out with us.
Just hang out.
Well, why do I have storm clouds?
If you happen to miss us live, which you shouldn't, you should be watching us live. You can also get all our links to like news articles and things that we use, or if we're doing a build, you get all the links and Padre puts the budget of how much things cost too. So makes it easy for you. That's not the only place.
Does not make it easy for our budget though.
No, no, not our budget. No.
No, that isn't the only place. You can also find us on our Google Plus group. It's very people who say Google Plus is a ghost town. I just laugh at them. I laugh at you. That's right. Go to Google Plus, look for the Know-How group. We've got over 8,300 members. It is a fantastic place to ask questions, get answers,
post your projects, or more recently has been crash videos of people's quads, which are very entertaining, and we're all learning from your experience. So keep passing those along.
Like I'd say 30% of those crash videos are from one person, which I love. Seriously, keep doing it. You learn by crashing. But at some point, I'm like, I feel bad for him. I want to like send him an indestructible frame. Use this for a while.
And then if he finds a way to break that, you're like, I'm impressed.
I am impressed.
Good job.
Well, I mean, so far I've seen videos of people running into wires. That happens all the time.
Yep.
Or wrapping around a tree. That was a good one.
The ones that are always my favorite are the people who go out to like a giant field, like nothing's around except for one pole.
One pole.
And fly straight into it.
It happens, folks. In this hobby, we say crashing is learning, and we mean it. You're gonna crash. If you're not crashing, you're probably not flying it hard enough. Yeah, that's all part of the process. Of course, Google Plus isn't the only place to find us.
There's also Twitter.
The Twitters.
Yeah, I'm at cranky_hippo, and if you follow me there, you can find out what we're doing when we're not on Know How, or maybe even the things leading up to Know How. Some of the little tidbits that we share leading up to the show. And where can they follow you, Padre?
They can find me at oh, that's a double at Padre SJ. If you follow me there,
you've been watching a lot of Star Wars.
At Padre SJ. No, follow us there, follow me there, and you'll find out what I'm doing here on Know How. We always post up our topics ahead of time. You'll be able to suggest topics for future shows, and you'll also see what I'm doing in between shows.
Yeah, like bringing the studio steam buns.
Steam buns.
Yeah.
We've got a steam bun addiction.
Our new favorite treat, yeah.
Which is bad because... so I actually we have a chemistry lab at the school, and they were doing this thing where they were showing how many calories were in.
I don't want to know. I don't. And steam bun was like the worst.
3,000 calories in a steam bun. It's more than
that could feed like a family of 5 for a week. One steam bun.
It's all sugar. It's so much sugar.
But it's so good.
That's why it's good.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But it's so fluffy. How could there be calories in air?
Right. I wish it worked that way.
But before we go, I'm not sure if he's got this queued up, but we wanted to show you a little bit of the magnificence of the human body. So Cranky Hippo and I dug through our internet archives to see what happens in your body when white blood cells attack. That's right, folks. This is what your immune system does. This is a little time lapse.
Get him.
If you've ever wondered how your white blood cells fight off foreign bodies and infections, that's it. It's basically a wonderful little...
It's like a little army.
Army of stuff. I'm losing my transmitter here. Hold on.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Padre's falling apart.
I think some white blood cells just attacked my IFB. Okay, there we go. And yeah, this is what you're going to see if you were shrunken down to microscopic size and could see stuff.
And that's what they did to my pancreas, the little jerks.
Ew.
Well, yeah, that's how type 1 diabetes works.
Oh, now I feel bad.
Well, now I know what it looks like. Yeah. You little monsters.
It's pinching me. What happened?
Maybe. So we were talking about the bench project earlier. Alex has pictures of that. Do you want to throw that up real quick?
Yeah,
Alex?
sure. Yeah. Why not? There's your arm, Brian.
See, this is the drafting stuff that we did. Hey, you can even see my little robot logo that I used to have in the corner. But yeah, we designed these in AutoCAD. That was a lot of fun. And
whoa!
Yeah,
right?
There's me and my bench.
He's just a kid.
Hey, so Alex, I got a question after seeing that photo.
Yeah.
Go back to that. So, how is it being a vampire?
And you can follow Alex at
ANELF3. And L3, make sure you follow him. He's not going to put a camera on himself because he's so shy.
Yeah, but you spoiled my joke, though. See, I was going to show this and say we beefed up the no-hole control room while the last week, but now we all know it's a lie because you gimped it.
Oh, well, that is. Oh.
So I was going to say this is a live shot of the new cozy where there's no how in the background.
Ruined.
But now it's ruined.
Ruined.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pick on Alex because he thankfully didn't bring up any pictures of me in high school. So
I got them.
We're good.
I got them.
Let's end the show.
Yeah. Until next time, I'm Father Robert Ballas.
And I'm Brian Burnett.
And now that you know how,
go do it. Shoot.
You'll get out.